The Hadeon Eon occurred 4,000 million years ago. The Earth was created from a surrounding dust cloud that surrounded the Sun. The hypothesized planet Theia eventually crashes into Earth and creates a dust cloud that resulted in the creation of the Moon. It was closer to Earth then, and it stabilized Earth's axis.
The Archean Eon, which was 4,000 million years ago to 2,500 million years ago, started with the formation of a greenstone belt in Canada, which is the oldest known rock belt on the planet. First prokaryotes developed the process of glycolysis and used carbon dioxide as a carbon source, and eventually learned to store carbon in glucose and ATP bonds. Archaea split off from bacteria in the evolutionary line, and bacteria developed photosynthesis, which did not produce oxygen at this point. Photosynthesizing bacteria use water as a reducing agent, which produces oxygen as a waste product. This, in turn, oxygenated the environment for future use of oxygen from oxygen-breathing animals and organisms. And the Moon, which was so close to the Earth at this point, produced 1,000-foot high tides, and the Earth was beaten by hurricane-force winds for the remaining of this eon.
Proterozoic Eon began 25,000 to 542 million years ago. Commencement of plate tectonics began, and the continents began to move past each other. Eukaryotic cells appeared with their membrane-bound organelles. Red beds show that an oxidizing atmosphere had been produced, which favors eukaryotic life. Meiosis and sexual reproduction began in single-cell eukaryotes. First multicellular organelles were also formed. Earth enters a period of glaciation. Towards the end, species such as jellies, sponges, and corals began to form as well.
The Phanerozoic Eon, which is the eon in which we live, goes from 542 million years ago to present time. It encompasses the Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic eras. It is the period of well-displayed life and marks the appearance of fossils.
The Paleozoic Era occurred 542 to 251 million years ago. This is the first era in the Phanerozoic Eon, and it is composed of the Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous, and Permian periods. The Cambrian Period occurred 541 million years ago to 485 million years ago. This is the first period in the Paleozoic Era. The Cambrian explosion happened, which is the largest evolution of creatures in the history of Earth. Algae and arthropods began to populate Earth heavily. This period ended with a massive extinction called the Cambrian Ordovician extinction, and this was due to glaciation.
The Ordovician Period, which lasted from 485 to 443 million years ago, is the second period of the Paleozoic Era. It was a time where many species evolved like primitive fish, cephalopods, as well as coral. Invertebrates dominated oceans, and life had yet to diversify on land. Small arthropods arose on land, which was not much of the time, and the period ended with the Ordovician Silurian extinction, where 50% of marine genera and 85% of marine species all died due to global cooling. The Silurian Period, which lasted from 443 million years ago to 419 million years ago, was a time when the glacial formations began to melt and raise the sea level drastically. During this time period, temperatures stabilized, which caused fish and many other species to go through a massive evolution, where fish adapted to have jaws and many other species adapted to look more like what they resemble today. Devonian Period, which was from 419 to 359 million years ago, was known as the Age of Fish, because the period was dominated by a wide range of diverse fish. The period ended with a mass extinction known as the Late Devonian Extinction, which eliminated near 70% of Earth's population at the time.
The Carboniferous Period, 359 to 299 million years ago. Temperatures began to rise during this period. Swamps dominated the landscape, and a large number of trees became what is now our coal supply today. Amphibians also began to evolve and have amniotic eggs. This allowed for them to head further inland, away from their young and the water.
Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on, go play. Hey now, you're a rock.
The Permian Period began 299 to 252 million years ago. All land masses formed together to make the supercontinent Pangaea. The Earth was very dry at this time, and reptiles dominated the landscape. Towards the end of the Permian, the middle of Pangaea began to become a giant arid desert. The Permian ends with the Permian-Triassic extinction, the Earth's most severe extinction. Up to 96% of all marine life and 70% of terrestrial creatures died off in this event.
The Mesozoic Era, which lasted from 251 to 66 million years ago, encompassed the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods. The Jurassic Period, which was from 251 to 201 million years ago, the Earth was in shambles from its last extinction. It took a while to recover, and therasprids and archaeosaurs were the main vertebrates on land. Dinosaurs were around at this time, but weren't as dominant until the Jurassic Period. The first mammals arose, as well as the first flying vertebrates arose during this time period, and the period ended with the Jurassic extinction event, which cleared a large amount of ecological niches and allowed dinosaurs to take their dominant role on land. The Jurassic Period, which spans from 201 to 145 million years ago, is the second of three periods in the Mesozoic Era. It is the age of reptiles, and is when Pangaea began to drift apart. Climate shifted to humid, deserts changed to rainforests, and dinosaurs began to flourish. The first birds appeared, as well as the earliest lizards. Crocodilians also made the transition from terrestrial to aquatic living.
Cretaceous Period, 145 to 66 million years ago. This period experienced relatively warm temperatures with higher sea levels. This caused small, warm seas to form where normally there wouldn't have been any. These seas had a large diversity of marine reptiles that are now extinct. Dinosaurs dominated the land, but new mammals, birds, and animals, and plants all began to arise. This period ended with an extinction that was because of an asteroid impact. That's good.
The Cenozoic Era lasted from 66 million years ago to present day. During this time period, large conifer trees sprouted, and mammals were dominant land animals. Modern-day big cats arose, and birds diversified. Animals such as whales, bats, rhinos, and camels arose during this time period. And around 2 million years ago, the first members of the Homo genus evolved. 350,000 years ago, Neanderthals evolved, and 250,000 years ago, modern humans evolved. Many species die out as we enter the Holocene epoch around 10,000 years ago, and Earth exits the most recent ice age. Now we're in the present, and the rest is history.